Hey, fellow patriots, I'm Bree.
And I'm Blaze. Some call me Pa. It has been said that we have 4 boxes to keep ourselves free. These are the soapbox, the ballot box, the jury box, and the ammo box.
And we are the 4th box. We are here to arm you with enough information, resources, and skills to take back your freedom, increase your self-sufficiency, and inspire you to join in the fight against tyranny.
Thomas Jefferson said, "Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty." Thank you for joining us and for joining in this fight.
Welcome back to the 4th box. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another week at the 4th Box podcast. We are once again in a situation where only one of your trusty co-hosts is here this evening. Last week, I was not here. I was visiting several places. I think I was in Alaska at the time of recording. Shout out to Brant, actually, who I was spending the day with, and I'm going to be recording with tonight. So, my father, Blaze, and Denny took the wheel on that one, and tonight I'm going to be doing the same, joined with Brant, my brother. So you're still getting 2 Dornisches, just in a little bit of a different fashion. So thanks for joining us once again. Brant, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to have you here, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to do it. So the last time I was on was Christmas, like 2 years ago, and I think I just kind of stole the mic and just kept rambling. So
That's true. Yeah, it was Christmas, and it feels like it was even longer ago than that, kind of. But I guess, it's easy to forget how long we've been doing this. So yeah, we had a lot going on that episode. So tonight we're going to have some one-on-one action, and I don't know if you all can hear it in my voice, but I'm a little bit under the weather from all the traveling. Could be all the Bloody Marys that we shared on the boat tour in the Alaskan Gulf. So who knows? But anyway, I'm going to get us started with the things that our dad normally would do, which lately he's been doing kind of a series of touching back on moments through history. And this is an important one this week because we're just coming off the week of Sunday, April 19th. That was this past Sunday, which is known as Patriots Day. So we're going to take a moment to commemorate that because it's super important to us here at the 4th Box. Though this is not a holiday that's really celebrated or even honestly spoken about by very many people, April 19th, 1775 was the day that the first shots of the American Revolution were fired in Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts. This was the confrontation between colonial militias and British troops that ignited the full-scale fight for our independence that we have today. We might argue that we don't have today. Nevertheless, this was called the shot heard round the world, and it's a reminder that ordinary people, when pushed far enough, when they choose principle over comfort and liberty over control, can in fact have true freedom. So almost every week you all hear us mention the Buckman Tavern. This was the local watering hole that was literally steps away from the Lexington Green where this took place. And we mention this every week because the Buckman Tavern was the place that for weeks and months, our determined countrymen sat over beers and whiskeys, and they talked just like we do every single week. And they were discussing the tyrannical government and what they could do to get out from under its boots. We call it to mind because we hope to bring the same ideas here: perseverance, determination, courage, and unity. It's going to take all of those things, and it's going to take all of us to change the course of the America we have today. We are in the same situation. Let's not kid ourselves. We are living under a tyrannical government, and it will take acts of resistance and rebellion to do anything about it. So that's why we share this. That's why we talk about the Buckman Tavern. That's why we talk about the Lexington Green. And this week is important to us because this is literally where those ideas became important in our history. So April 19th, 1775, many, many years ago, our ancestors took back what was rightfully ours. I'm just going to move right into the quote off of that. This is one that we shared recently. I think it's important. Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigues of supporting it. That was Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine's one of our favorites. I really like this one. I think this is huge because we cannot, when we think about our ancestors, when we think about what they went through on the Lexington Green, in the Buckman Tavern, we cannot think this is going to be easy. We cannot think that posting some memes on Instagram a couple times a week is going to get us there, right? Like, it actually is going to take some effort, and it's going to suck. So if they did it, we can too. That's why we remember our history. And that's why we share this quote from our boy Thomas Paine. With that, I think we can kick it off for the week. Brant, is there anything you want to touch on with the history, the quote, before I get us rolling here?
No, just initially, that was a fantastic start to the show, and I think I'm really excited and stoked to be a part of the show, especially this week. I mean, Patriots Day is essentially our Super Bowl, right? Like
Woo! Yeah.
this is it, man. Yeah, this is kind of the thing that got it all kicked off. So I'm excited to be here, and yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, there we go. So this week we're going to be talking about a lot of ideas that we've been sharing kind of week after week. These are not new ideas, these are not new concepts. So if any of you are sick of hearing about it, I'm sorry. We're going to keep talking about it because it's important. So basically the premise for the show tonight is the idea that there's a global downfall happening, and it's happening in 3 stages. So we're kind of going to talk through those. Some might say that they believe that we're in the first stage. I honestly might be of the belief that we're in the second stage. With only 3, that's not ideal. So the first stage is where the minority is aware, right? There's not a lot of us, but we know what's going on. But most people don't see what's going on. And when we talk about these things that are going on, we're talking about the sabotaging of our systems, the sabotaging of the things that we rely on in daily life in the modern world. So we're talking about the relationships on an international level. We're talking about energy, how we all have access to energy, what that looks like in the world around us, technology, which, right now we're kind of in this crazy time where we're seeing super fast changes. Brant, you and I grew up in an era where there were very fast changes with tech, right? I mean, like, we were in the world where we went from having no cell phones to having smartphones in like a decade. I mean, I think I might be abbreviating it a touch, but it really was that fast. And now
it happened overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're seeing even faster increases in that technology. Like, it felt fast then. Now it's happening so quick that we're missing what's happening. A lot of us don't even have access to it. And then, things like our personal health, the health on a global scale, things like this. So these are all the systems that are crumbling. So let's just kind of break this down, and then we'll go into what the stage 2 and the stage 3 are of this global collapse. So
yeah, but really quick, one other thing I want to say something really quick, like stepping back on what you were saying is it's happening so fast, and you made the comment that we don't have access to it. I think it's even more than that. I think that like the majority of people don't even have the comprehension of things that are like of new tech that's coming out, and ultimately stuff that's kind of working against you as a human being, or rather turning you into a consumer or capitalizing on you being a consumer. I mean, yeah, like when we were kids, you go and you buy a CD and whatever, that's not traced to you. You go, you get it with cash, and like now, you have your iPhone, it's linked to Spotify. Spotify's pulling data from everything else, and it's all being collected in databases just to sell back to you, which I think potentially we could, I don't know if we'll go this direction or not, but like looking at Palantir, am I pronouncing that right?
yeah,
I never remember.
yeah.
Right, like they're working on essentially just a mass database that's hyper dangerous to every freedom that you could ever have or ever dream of. And yeah, that's just kind of my brief thought on your comment of how rapidly this is happening, and how we don't even have the capability of comprehending what actually is happening, and how much it is kind of, bleeding into your everyday life, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah. I think it's such a good point to just frame it as simply as like Spotify. I mean, I don't even ever think of that, right? But like, we're listening to podcasts like this, and that's being stored. Like, that's information that people can have access to when we listen to these things. And what does that mean for us long term? To your point, when you have a spy, a global and international spy company, Palantir, that are using all of these tools for a purpose. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, what do you think they're making money on, other than our own ability to think for ourselves? Literally, they're using our thought. Our thought is their currency. Like, that's where we're at. And you're right that I think people are missing that entirely.
Oh yeah, and it's so much, it's that and every other avenue it could possibly go, right? Like it's these companies capitalizing on seeing you as the consumer and what they're able to sell to you based off of what your interests are. But then it's also so much more than that, right? It's like, well, now you've also been, every single person's been divvied up into like what group they fall into. And that could be used for countless things, whether that's like, trying to isolate a threat or isolate a demographic for votes, anything at all. I mean, it's so much more than just trying to sell you, like, hey, buy the new iPhone, buy this new car, buy this new whatever. I mean, it's every single aspect of your life is being collected and is being sold. I mean, it was just, I don't remember how long ago, but the director of the CIA came out and said that they were buying all sorts of public records, like public data collection from these like apps that are storing and collecting your data, my data, everybody's data. And yeah, I mean, like our government is purchasing this. This is a direct infringement of your privacy.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. I mean, like what you're doing in your house is being bought.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I don't think that those of us who see what's happening have the awareness of how deep that runs. So then when you consider how many people either don't see that it's happening or refuse to believe it, because I think that's a huge camp too. I think there's a lot of people that just will refuse to believe that that could be real, but it's not like they're hiding it. It's kind of happening all in plain sight. I mean, like the idea of, SaaS model, subscription as a service, it's everything that we do. I mean, it's how half of us get our food. It's the way that we're logging on to anything that we're doing online. It's how we watch television, music. It's in your vehicle. I mean, it's everywhere, and you're just willingly putting any and all information about yourself into these systems. And then that's exactly right. It seems like a very like chill thing to do until the government comes in and goes, hey, we'll pay you whatever amount of money you want to give us that information.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like every simple thing that you're logging onto requires like such an extreme amount of information. It's the type of stuff where it's like, would you feel comfortable, like what you had to do to set up your social media account? Would you feel comfortable like going and sharing that information with some random person on the street? And it's like, oh, well, it's not the same. It's like, it's worse actually, right? Because like if you give some random person on the street your information, like they're not really going to do anything with it. This is forming a profile. Every single thing, like everywhere that you input your name and anywhere that you're looking at something or clicking something or anything like that. And sorry for getting a little off topic with this. But like it's being utilized to build a profile around you to be used in every single way and more than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's scary. And it's like, you don't think about it. You pick up your phone every day. You do, I do, everybody does. And they continue doing all this stuff. And it's like, well, how do you stop it? Like, do we just go back to like flip phones? It's like, even that,
I know. And there's a lot of people who will tell you that like, even devices that have like a speaker, right? That are connected via Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So a smart television, to have that speaker, that means they also have a microphone. Like, I don't know that level of how audio shit works, so I'm not going to pretend to, but I've read several articles from people who are in that world who tell you that like it also has an audio or a microphone format. And let's pretend it doesn't. Let's pretend that's not real. How many of you have a remote that you can talk to? If you can talk to it, it has a microphone. You think it only has the ability to record if you press the button? Because I don't think that's true when we think about how all of these things are being bought by huge tech corporations and our government for purposes of surveillance. They can call it whatever they want, but it's surveillance.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it goes so far beyond that. I think like far beyond like, oh, it's just like like what you said, like, oh, you have a microphone that's able to record you. Well, to what scale that actually climbs, you have no idea. My vehicle, for example, has an IR camera in it, so it knows where you're looking when you're in the vehicle. So if you're looking away, okay, well, my vehicle's also connected to Starlink. So it's like, what capabilities is the audio able to pick up in my vehicle, and a camera that is capable of knowing it's me sitting down in my car based off of my height and my build, that it's like learned this. And it's like, yeah, I mean, every single thing that you do, there's audio on you, there's a camera on you. And this isn't even talking about like, I'm drawing a blank, but what is you'll probably remember the name of it. What's the pretty large scale surveillance company that's been like putting up cameras, like AI cameras all across the country in cities? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
my God. Yeah. I just was talking about this
People
like 2 days
internationally
ago.
are like people internationally are like breaking these cameras and spray painting them. I
Yes,
can't think of the name.
I
This is gonna
know.
frustrate me.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it
Um,
because I know what you're talking about.
but yeah, ultimately it's like this is out on like a very large scale, and in public areas and cities. And it's like it's also in your house. It's everywhere. There's no
Yeah,
escaping it.
yeah. Flock.
Yeah.
Flock cameras.
Flock. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, and you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. We were just having this conversation in person when I was with you because we were in Scottsdale, Arizona, which was littered with Waymo vehicles.
That's right.
Dude, these things have so many cameras on them. So many cameras. And sure, I get that's because we're not trying to kill people with robot driven cars, but also it's collecting data. And there's no way
Yeah.
for you and I to sit here and comprehend where that's going. Like, I
Oh
can't
yeah.
speak to what that turns into down the road, right? I mean, there's no
Yeah.
way to know.
Well, and it kind of ties back in with what I was saying about like, and what we were saying about like utilizing your data for, it's like nothing is singular anymore. Like everything is and it's not like I shouldn't say anymore. Nothing's singular though. Everything's multi-purpose, right? So it's like not only do you have the cameras on the car so the car knows where it's going and it's driving safely, but it's also able to gather every ounce of information possible, right? Like and I don't know. And I really don't like sharing. I like don't like using information and not having the exacts to back it. But Pokemon Go, right? I
Yeah.
don't know if you're familiar. I don't know if you guys touched on this, right? But
We-
it's like
we
everyone's
did.
walking around with their cameras. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you did. I can't remember, but it's exactly that. I mean, like everything where there's a camera is being used for multi-purpose. Like, oh, kids are out having fun. You're also training an AI platform.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's no different. And it kind of ties in. I mean, and like now pivoting with Waymo, it ties in with what you're saying with like the breaking down of a system. And if I'm like kind of getting off track, please pull me in.
No, there's no way
but
to
it's
really
like-
get off track here. Just go where you're going.
But yeah, it's like, well, now you don't even need people to drive cars. You don't need Uber drivers. You don't need taxi drivers. You don't need delivery people. You got these stupid little robots driving around on the street. It's like, I think we were talking about this too. It's like, why are people not kicking this shit over? It's like, A, it's the dumbest thing ever. And B, it's taking, like, there's so much value in a very simple to do job. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm capable of doing like a highly skilled job. There's a lot of people out there that aren't. And that's like, I fall into that as well at times in my life. Like, sure, there's things I'm good at, but like, that's a very important industry, right? Where it's like something that's simple that you need no skill, no ability. You just need manpower. You need labor, right? You don't even have, there's no like in the next 10 years, there's going to be, unless there's like a serious cultural shift, there's going to be no taxi drivers or no food delivery people. I mean, and that's just like the smallest start of that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I don't think that people are understanding that literally their daily habits are contributing to them losing their jobs in the future. Like,
Oh yeah.
everyone's complaining about the economy and how bad it is, but they don't understand that as they look to AI for solution, they're training it to take away their source of income. Where does that leave us? And you said 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it's less. I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
lot less with the speed that this has moved at. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around how much I've seen change in 5 years, even 2 years when it comes to this kind of tech.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I have 2 points really quick to make, but like one of them is over the past year, there was virtually, I shouldn't say none, but like really, really hardly anything in my industry, which is construction, that had like a that was built off of AI. There really wasn't a place for it. Well, now all of a sudden, my exact job, which of course it is, every job that requires sitting at a computer is going to be able to be done by AI. The question is like, is it worth paying X amount for a machine to do it, or do we value human life to like absorb the inefficiencies and just continue paying real life people? But anyways, yeah, like there's multiple platform or multiple softwares that have like come out over the past year that are like creeping their way into the construction industry. I mean, they're creeping into every single industry in the world. I was just talking to one of my friends last week, and he was talking to me about typing questions into his company's AI. And like, he doesn't work for an AI company. He works for an industrial company, right? Like they're producing stuff. But like they have, right? So they probably brought in a third party, somebody to build like an AI platform, or maybe there already is one that's just kind of reshaped for this specific use. But yeah, he's saying that like he's got to type questions into his company's AI. It's like you're legitimately just training it to do your job.
Yeah.
That's all that you're doing.
Yes, exactly. I was just having this conversation, and I don't even know if it was something I told you about or not. I can't remember who I told about it, but I know people who work for big corporations it's very similar, where like they have to use AI X amount of times a week or they get written up. That's literally because the company is trying to phase you out and trying to use the way that you think to teach the tool that they will ultimately implement to replace you.
Yeah.
Like, dude, write me up all day. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Like, how could you be so naive to be like, oh, whatever this is, like, you know what it's for. It's very obvious what it's for. It's very obvious what's happening. And I think that that's such a perfect example because that's on like a very like micro level versus macro, but it's like you can tie it into anything and everything, right? Like, let's look at the bullshit that you have to deal with day to day as being a citizen, right? Like, people just don't stand up. You just go along with it because it's like, oh, you don't want to deal with like the tiny slap on the wrist. But we're talking about a company, like, I'm sure a company that's this size that's doing this, like, yeah, they probably have a few thousand people, but how many people are actually utilizing this software? Let's just, for the sake of conversation, say it's like 1,000 people. You know how easy it is to get like 500 people to be like, yeah, we're not doing this, because why would you? It's logical. It's logical to not feed the beast. Like, why would you want to just give somebody else your job, give something else your job? But instead of like having that conversation and people just being like, yep, we're not going to do it, and you just roll with it, and it's like you're igniting the flame that's going to bring this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're happy about it.
Oh yeah, that's the worst part. It's like the convenience of it all. Like, it's so nice to have like convenience and like speed. It's like this isn't going to end well. It can be convenient now. I won't dispute that. Sure it is. But that's not for your benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could get into like a random like ethical tangent on this with how like it's human to make mistakes, and it's human to like not be perfect. So like, why are we leaning into like perfection and absolute efficiency when it's like it's not going to be used in a positive way? The massive percentage of AI usage is not going to be used in a positive way. It will not. I'm not going to be ignorant and be like, no AI is going to be used to benefit you and I or anybody in the world. Sure, of course, some of it will. That's inevitable. But the vast majority will not. And like, is it benefiting us if I lose my job in a year because of it? It's like, it's not really just because I can get an answer quick or somebody's using it for curing a disease that affects like 0.005% of the population. Like, it's really not, that's not a benefit. That's not helping the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to fix a problem and get ahead of a problem that it's like, you're not going to perfect humanity. And clearly, like, that's not the goal anyways. Like, it's it has a deep undertone to it, and it has since people at first like thought about AI. And it's, I
Oh
mean, like
yeah,
ultimately,
before
it's
AI was real, people were writing books about this. Like we already could
exactly.
see where it would go before it existed.
Yeah, it's not a complicated thought. I mean, like, yeah, it's not complicated. It's something that's so easy to look at and be like, this it won't be used for good. It's going to be. I think the topic of the conversation today is like sabotage of systems. This is sabotage of the greatest system. It's sabotage of human well being, right? And it's like Elon Musk discusses. I think you sent this over. Elon Musk discussed his what was it? Um, I want to find the exact universal high income, not basic, because we're all just going to be able to live like this amazing life.
Yeah.
It's like you're anybody who's buying into this is so incredibly naive, right? Like,
Yeah.
and please interrupt me. I feel like I'm just going on like a pointless tangent and rambling. But first off, what do you think a universal high income is going to look like? Do you think that everybody's going to be like driving around in like Ferraris and we're all going to be living in nice houses? It's like the majority of people I know right now aren't getting out of one bedroom apartments, let
Yeah.
alone owning houses. You think we're going to get on a universal high income and now it's like we're going to have what we want to have, we're going to do what we want to do. It's just going to continue to progress into like you'll own nothing and be happy about it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. That's where I was gonna go with this. Is like a couple things actually. The first one is that a couple things that you said kind of made me think about this, like the mindset of people on a global scale, like in mass, has been systematically shifted to be okay with this change. And one of the things you said was that, if you have 1,000 people at a company, it's not that hard to get half of them to get on board with this idea. And it shouldn't be. But I think where the hangup is that it doesn't matter that AI is not a political conversation. What matters is this idea of I disagree with you no matter what, period, has already been sown in the minds of everyone. And it has been for
Yeah.
a long time, but since COVID, that's been ramped up and ramped up and ramped up. And then you have this Trump figure come in and you have all this BLM stuff go on. And it's like boom, 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 boom. All these things where now people feel so divisive towards other people that even if we're having a conversation that has nothing to do with politics, we've already decided, I don't agree with you. I don't care what it's about, period. I don't care if this is about a football game. Like, it's done. So coming together now to go, hey, I know that we voted differently, but like this AI thing is actually pretty bad for both of us, is really hard for people to do. They can't jump over that. They've already set this like hard boundary in their mind. And I think that that's, we always talk about how these things are on purpose, but it's hard to understand why. Like it's done on purpose, but why was it done on purpose? And then you think about something like this and you're like, oh, sure. This is really easy because now nobody is going to like link up and just be like normal people and talk face to face and go, this is pretty bad for all of us. I mean, half of us work remote. We're never having in-person conversations anyway. So we don't have the opportunity to sit down with somebody, drink a beer after work and go, oh, wow, today sucked. Like, I don't really care who you voted for. We're in the same situation. Then you start getting on a tangent about AI and you're all of a sudden agreeing with each other about something. Like this
Yeah.
should be easy, but it's not because of a
Yeah.
precedent that was set many years ago. And
Sure.
the
Yeah.
other part of that I wanted to touch on that's kind of like where you can see that the seed was sown, and you and I talked about this again many years ago, is TikTok brain. We talked about how the weird thing about TikTok when it came out was like all of a sudden all of these people were dressing the same, they were listening to the same music, and they were doing the same dance. And to hit the algorithm, to be popular, fit in, you had to do exactly what every single other person was doing. You quite literally had to fall in line. You had to be a sheep that was just one of many. Your uniqueness was completely ripped out of you. You had to lose your individuality to fit the system, to play the game.
Yeah.
And so now people have learned that is the way that you fit in with society. You march in step. And I think there's always a component of that with human nature, but this is like, now we've been taught it because there's a reward if you do it. And the reward is freaking likes.
Like That's
Like,
the greatest validation is a human being giving you a thumbs up.
dude, it's not even a real thumbs up. That's the worst thing.
I know. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, there's like this entire generation that's like just absolutely built on this, and like, yeah, you and I are kind of in that interesting age where it's like we were exposed to it, but I don't think that it was as important to us. Think about the people that are like, were people talk about the kids that were in developmental ages during COVID, like especially young kids like kindergarten and first grade, where it's like you're kind of first really starting to get exposure to like people that you don't know. But it's like, yeah, what about the people that are like 16? That it was like, that was all, I mean, all anybody was doing during COVID, people were just sitting at home on TikTok. And it's like, that's exactly, they were just like, keep being conditioned that it's like, do what they're doing, do what they're doing, do what they're doing. And like, that's something that I feel like anybody can look at. And if you do look at it under that microscope, you're like, oh, that is weird. Like it was the same song. It
Yeah.
was the same dance. Like there's nothing in the world that's supposed to be more like expressive than dancing, right? And it's like, nope, we're gonna do the same exact one as everybody as 50,000, 5 million other people. Yeah, yeah, sorry. Trying to run off a TikTok tangent, but yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, and it's not just young kids. There's like adults. There's like 30, 40, 50-year-old people out here that are doing this shit too. And it's crazy. How don't you see how whether you want to admit it or not, it is destructive to an individual. Like you need to be able to critically think and think for yourself. And like something as easy as that, where it's like, hey, there's no rules. You take a video of yourself, you do whatever you want. There's now conditions and rules being placed on it, and people fall in line. It's like that has an effect whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, of course. And in a very PG look at it, it is self-censoring. It is the idea of changing what you would say or do to fit into a role. And that's self-censorship. I mean, we do it all the time, like in day-to-day life. Like, when COVID-19 was really popping off, you saw a ton of people online who wouldn't even speak what they normally would say. They stopped using words. They would, people were afraid to say the word vaccine because like their video isn't going to get views. And that's self-censorship. Like, the government didn't have to come in and take your video down because you stopped yourself from saying that thing beforehand. And it's the same thing when you censor your thought, your dance moves. Like that sounds simplistic, but it isn't, because it has a long-term effect, especially to your point, the upcoming generation that lived in this bubble. They only were allowed to be in that bubble, and they could only consume and then in turn like eject and create the same nonsense. Boom, boom, boom. It's literally, and this is exactly where I was going with the rest of what you were saying, talking about Elon Musk's universal high income. This is communism. And for many, many, many years, there's been enough people that have said, hey, communism has never worked before. It's not going to work now. And there's always that one guy that says, we just haven't done it the right way. But we finally got it to the point where there's more of the one guy who says we just haven't done it the right way than there are of the other. And we're watching it happen because so many people are in this situation where they're addicted to TikTok. They're addicted to being the same as everybody else. They don't want to speak differently than anybody else because they're afraid that it's not going to like be socially acceptable. And in the meantime, they're losing their job to AI. And here comes Elon Musk, along with all the other tech people who have the same concepts, saying, don't worry about it, guys. Universal high income for all. We're all going to be millionaires. That's communism literally at its basis. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, the problem it comes from like it's the repackaging of it. It's like what you said. It's like there's always going to be people that are like, no, this is a good idea. Like I've known plenty of people that are like, they're devout socialists. I know plenty of people that are devout communists. They're open about it. They want to talk about it. Whatever. Good for you. Have your information, back it. If it's what you believe in, great, whatever. But now there's so many people that are ignorant to what's happening because it's just repackaged as something else. It has nothing to do with that. It's not, don't look at it as that. This is just AI is going to be taking a lot of jobs, so therefore you should be benefited by it. All right. Like you're going to make money for sitting at home doing nothing. It's just, yeah, it's kind of like changing the lighting of the situation, and people are too ignorant to know it. And honestly, I have more respect for people that are just straight up like, yeah, I am a communist and this is what I believe. It's like, great, awesome. At least you know what it is, rather than just like, oh, this sounds good, whatever it is. I'm gonna believe it and back it. And I'll be honest, I don't know if there's a ton of people that I know personally that are like, oh yeah, I think it's a great idea, but there's not a ton of people that are speaking out against it either.
Yeah.
Like a very few people that I know, friends, colleagues, coworkers, anything, are like, have I actually had the conversation with? Even if I've tried to like get the ball rolling on like, oh, what's your thoughts about like the progression of AI and like seeing it come into like your workplace, my workplace, everybody's workplace. It's like it's something that doesn't really catch footing, and I think that it, at least in the experiences that I've had, and I think that that's exactly with what you just said, like tying it back real quickly to like TikTok and self censorship, is it's like, well, like maybe this isn't a conversation that I want to have. Like maybe there's just something subconsciously that's like drawing them away from that conversation. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. So I don't know. I mean, there's so much there. We literally talk about AI stuff all the time, and we could talk and talk and talk about it. And I'm not an expert, and I won't profess to be, but like, there's just so much there that you do not need a high level of intelligence on to just look at it face value and go, okay, this is heading in a bad direction. This is a train that we
Yeah,
can't stop. That's the worst part. Like, there's not a lever that we, the people, can pull at any point. It's out of our hands. This is in
yeah,
the tech billionaires realm of full control, and that's what's scary, is like, these are the people that are really running the things. And when we're talking about a breakdown of the systems, is it coming from things happening within our government? Sure, but like, I think these tech corporations, they're the ones that are making a lot of the choices for a lot of the public policy, and we don't get to vote
totally.
those in or out. Those are what they are, and they get to make the
Yeah,
decisions. Where does that leave us? We don't know, but it's definitely something people need to be paying closer attention to, and having that ability to jump over that wall of division that was built for you to be able to talk to people about this in real life, because we're not going to fix it if we can't even talk to each other about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So, all right.
Yeah,
Kind of, do you have more to add there?
no, I'm good. I'll just ramble so we can move on.
All right. Okay. All right. So, we're still kind of talking about that phase one of like this global collapse. And we're talking about how these systems are breaking down, but only a few of us are recognizing it. And this was a great example of it. Going deep onto the AI topic is a great example of it, because of exactly this. People recognize it. There are very few that recognize it as a problem, and other people just recognize it for the convenience of it all. And I think that's the same thing that's happening here. And we talked about some of those other systems that exist, right? Like international relations is one. And I'm not going to dive down the Iran war rabbit hole right now, because there's so many things we could talk about. We could do 15 whole episodes on that alone, and we'd never cover it all. But I'm not an expert on that either. And frankly, I don't care. I can't convince myself to care, because I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit we're involved. And I know that we're probably involved for a reason that's bigger than whatever bullshit lie we've been sold. I think that there are layers and layers and layers of distraction happening here. I don't know what's on top. I don't know what's on the bottom. I think this is distracting from this. A is distracting from B, but B is also distracting from A. And like, when I see any news story come out about this war, I'm like, I don't care. This is some distraction stuff. And I think that the big thing with the international relations that I kind of just wanted to touch on without going too far down that rabbit hole is that there is a breakdown of how our country engages with other countries. I think we can all sense that. I mean, whether that is solely because of Trump and his current entourage, whether that came from, administrations past and it's just getting worse now, I don't know. But what I know is that there's a lot that just keeps bubbling to the surface. I mean, we had Venezuela months ago, we had Iran, and then not Iran, and now Iran again. Now everybody's recognizing the issue with Israel, which is good, thank goodness. But like, there's just all these things that keep happening. And we're talking about conflict, we're talking about sanctions, we're talking about military interventions, we're talking about tariffs. So the one thing I wanted to touch on with this just quickly, because I think it's important to the conversation we had moments ago about big corporations. $166 billion in refund checks is supposed to be given out. That was ruled by the Supreme Court that that's what has to happen. The $166 billion has to go back to the public. But it's not going to go to the public. We're not getting refund checks. It's just going to the corporations and to the business owners. And what's pretty weird about this is that they were not the ones who ultimately ate the cost of the tariffs. All of these companies pushed the cost onto the consumer, and we paid that price already. And now the government is going to give them fat checks because, they ate the cost of the tariff, but they didn't, which means we know the government doesn't make money. The government collects taxes. So that's our money. The $166 billion is now being taken from us to give to them, which means we're paying these things twice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And like, I don't know how much like you were directly. I mean, obviously everybody's like to some level affected with by tariffs, but it was like in my industry, the day that it happened, I got 50 phone calls, and it was like, "Hey, we're seeing this much of an increase. Like this is increasing this much." I turned around and called, right, because I was passing through. I was getting numbers, passing it through to the customer. I called however many customers I had numbers out to and was like, "Hey, effective immediately, we're having an increase this amount. No questions asked. All tariff costs or increase is going to be passed to you." And it's like, what do you do? Like, they're not getting any of that. Do you know how many people that were like private business owners that I had to call that are, just running some mom and pop shop or like finally expanding or anything like that, and if we come in and we just increase their number by 17% and we give it to them, it's like, who do they have to pass it on to? Like, sure, they're going to up their prices on whatever they're making or whatever they're selling or whatever they're doing is going to increase, but it's like it just ultimately keeps running down. Obviously I don't need to explain this, but yeah, it's not the guy at the bottom of the totem pole who's getting shit on at the end of this is not seeing it. They're not getting anything. You and I, what we paid in increases, and we're not getting anything. Everybody that was affected by this, that genuinely was affected by this, you're at a loss.
Yeah.
It's just going right back into the pocket. It was all, I mean, it's all a big game. Everything is a big game. It's like people talk about like, it's frustrating with me, right? Where it's like Trump will do something and everybody will be like, this is 4D chess. And it's like, if you want to talk about 4D chess, just look how bad you're getting screwed over. Like, nobody else is getting played but you, I, and all of the other little people.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the unraveling. Like, this is the unraveling and the breakdown of all of this. Like, we have all been screwed over. And now, when there's money to show for it, it's literally not going to go to us. It's like, okay, if you can't now get on board with the idea that the systems are broken and there's nobody in there for you, you're never going to see it. You're just going to keep licking the boots of whoever is serving you this plate of bullshit. And I've said it on here before, and I'll say it again. The people who think that way, their minds are never changing. It's not about changing those people's minds. It's about getting the people who do think this way to go, what can we do differently? Like, I know this is bad. I know these systems are broken, but what can we do? And I don't know, but I know that without these conversations, we're not going to find a solution.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's like mass awareness, at the very least, and like ultimately that's what you guys try to do here, I think, is like just make people aware. It's like, you don't have to agree with me, but do you know that this is going on? And how do you think that this is affecting you? And like, that's going to make a far bigger impact than anything. But that's also such an uphill battle because most people don't even want to hear the things, people like you have to say.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's not like you're out for blood. Like, it's not like you're trying to like, we talk about people that are like, oh, you're wrong, you're an idiot. Like you just mentioned that a little bit ago. It's like, at the end of the day, you just want to share what's going on in the world, make people aware so you can hopefully make a better future for you and me and everybody else. And most people don't want to hear about it. They'd rather be combative.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a mix of that and a mix of just not wanting to know because it sucks to know. When you know, it sucks. Yeah. And so you're like, it's hard to live in that state of knowing. And, we're going to get to that kind of moving through this a little bit further. I think we can keep talking about how the systems are broken. I mean, that's pretty freaking obvious. So we could go down that road for a while. I think I wanted to talk on the energy shit for a bit. But I'm going to try to just move us a little bit into this because it will overlap. The second stage of this is exactly that. The second stage of this collapse is where all of these things are ramping up to the point that it is undeniable. And now the masses are aware. The systems continue to break down. The pieces continue to collapse, but it's hard to deny and almost everyone can see it. And that's where you start having the reactions of fear, chaos, violence. This is where we're going to start seeing people react. And it is inevitable. It's inevitable when the economy is crashing and things shoot into hyperinflation and more people continue to lose jobs, which will happen for a myriad of reasons. And AI is only one of them. And I think we're right on the cusp of that, where it's, maybe the mass awareness hasn't happened yet, but I think the systems are becoming at that phase where it's undeniable that they're broken. How long can just the masses say, no, I think it's fine. I think it's probably going to buff out. I mean, that certainly just can't happen that much longer. I think we're right there at that tipping point.
Yeah, I would hope. If it goes any further without people realizing, I mean, yeah, we're past the point of return, which I think we're already past the point of return. But yeah, I think there's a pretty deep level of ignorance to that too, where it's just like, at the end of the day, and I know you guys have spoke about this. I know you and I spoke about this, and me and Dad 1,000 times as well. But it's like, as long as you can go and keep doing this and that, people aren't going to be affected. People aren't going to really, really, truly think that they're affected. It's like, well, you can come home and watch Netflix, and you can go to the store and get ice cream and whatever it is. You're like, great. You feel like you're living a normal life because you still have these luxuries at your fingertips. But it's it's kind of getting to the point now where it's in the back of your brain. It's well, all of a sudden ice cream's more expensive and I'm paying a lot for Netflix while still getting advertisements. And I can hardly pay my electric bill to even, be able to keep my ice cream cold and my Netflix on.
Yeah.
It is getting to the point where it's okay, you can only run from it for so long before realizing things are getting bad. Gas, I don't know what it's like where you're at, but our gas bill is absurd and it's only getting worse. And it's to touch on that. So where I live, they're talking about so by 2027, 2028, the area where the majority of natural gas is drilled and refined near me is going to be dried up. And it's so expensive to do it that they can't get anybody to come in, any companies to come in and bid to continue, pulling natural gas from the area and refining it. So it's making the natural gas and getting and making the natural gas, or I guess rather refining the natural gas is so expensive that they can't do it. And regardless, our prices have been skyrocketed for that anyways. Our electric bill is absurdly high. Everything is crazy and it's only getting worse, all while the entire infrastructure, and I know you guys discussed this as well, is trembling. We have such a fragile electrical infrastructure. Not to mention in a lot of areas, there's peak loads where it's you can't even run AC, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's and you're still paying insane amounts of money for it.
Yeah.
Electrical bills are absurd.
Yeah. You know what it is that people keep thinking it's going to go back to normal soon. That's what it is. I don't know how long it's going to be before suddenly people are like, oh shit, it's not turning around. But that time is coming because people are running out of money to sustain it. People are pulling from their savings to sustain it. People are living on credit cards to sustain it. They can't keep it up. And that's where it's going. I mean, it's going up and up. It is not going back down. It's not going back down until it crashes, until it hits zero. For now, it's going to keep climbing and we're going to keep eating the costs.
Yep. Oh yeah. And eating the cost is a big problem. That's part of where you're seeing an increase in it. Not to go back on AI data centers, but you're eating the cost of all of these places being built and running. And more than that, there's plenty of other things that like you're paying for in your area that you might not even realize that you're funding for this plant or this whatever it could be to be running and be operating. But like, if I'm not mistaken, you might fact check me. I believe AI data centers used less than 5% of the nation, like the country's overall electrical usage in 2024. I don't know what the most recent number was. And I mean, they're only building more data centers. I looked this up just the other day. I was talking with somebody about the electrical usage and the water usage, because the water usage is also absurd. I mean, like these places are using the equivalent of like a sizable town's water in like, a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, the electric usage is expected to grow by in like 2027, I think, up to 3 times the amount. I think it's 12% of the national electrical use is going to be used by these, and you're paying for it. You're paying for all of it. And whether you realize it or not, this is a direct contribution to why your electric bill is higher. Like if you woke up tomorrow and you're like, hey, my electric bill is 4.5% higher. Why is that? What would you do? It turns out nothing, because that's actually happening.
Yeah.
And nobody cares. Nobody even realizes it.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, my electric bill's higher. They call. They're just like, oh, sorry, that is what it is. And it's like, okay, oh, I guess we'll turn our lights off more and we'll not run this as long and that as long. You're still getting charged for stuff that you're not using. And even if you are using it, it's still higher because that demand is there by all of these other, facilities, whatever they are, whatever they could be, whether it is a data center or some sort of manufacturing facility that, and this is kind of where I'm like, it's tough because you want more manufacturing, you want more things brought in the country, this, that, and the other, but it's like the only thing that's being brought in, it seems like, is data centers. You're paying
Literally.
for that. I don't want to pay for that. I'm fine with paying for things that are produced and manufactured here, because we're not going to be affected as seriously by inflation if we're producing as a country, but we're not. The only thing we're doing is putting up massive storage units essentially for data, and then you're paying for it on the tail end for your water bill, your electric bill, everything.
Yeah. We're not producing shit. That's
Yeah.
that's a problem at the individual level, because that directly trickles down to how we behave and interface with the world around us. We are all becoming exactly that. A person that consumes all of the resources available to us, but does not produce shit. When there's no purpose, when you have no purpose as a human, you're devoid of humanity.
Yeah.
And we're getting quite close to that point, which is why
Oh,
probably people don't care, because their humanity is essentially lost if they've already foregone their purpose in life.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of draws me to another point where it's and I might kind of get into the weeds, so feel free to reel me back in. But it's like, as a country as a whole, we're incredibly parasitic. Like the United States has become very parasitic. We don't make anything. We just suck the life out of everything, right? Like, what are you buying? What are you using that is produced here that you're consistently using that like genuinely has worth? Like, it's not a thing. Cars that are built here they're not manufactured here. They're built here. They're put together here. And then they slap like made on the USA on. Like, we're not making cars. We used to be, look at Detroit, right? All right, I'm going on a tangent. I'm going to stop and pull myself back in.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, we're incredibly parasitic. Look at the buy and get rid of like culture that we're in right now. Everybody's buying from Temu. Everybody's buying from Amazon. I know you and Ramsey were just in Arizona, and that's what she was telling me. You guys were like in one of the stores, and like she was looking at all this clothes, and she was like, this is all shit like off of Temu with like a nice label slapped on it.
Yeah.
And it's all coming in from everywhere else, whether it's your clothes, your vehicles, your computer, whatever you're doing, whatever you're using, it's all coming in. You're using it for a period of time, tossing it. So yeah, I mean, I think it kind of diminishes like human value when you have all these like beautiful, these things produced around you that should have worth and they should mean something to you as an individual, but they don't. And then additionally, on top of that, I'm going to like go back into the kind of step back again. I keep pulling into it. AI, right? It's like we're talking about the degradation of this society, and that also entails like mankind. That and it, entails the people that live here. And well, what happens when more and more of what you have to do is automated? You no longer have to do it. You don't have to know it. You don't have to think about it. You can just look it up and it's done. It's like what's the point of living? And then immediately that ties into what you said with why would you care? You don't really have a reason to care. You have no drive. You have no passion. Everything's done for you. There's no difficulty. Everything's like, I feel like I went a lot of avenues, but ultimately what I'm trying to say is whether it's your thought process or what you're wearing, everything around you is just garbage fabricated and means nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And old school conspiracy theorists will tell you, there's a reason that modern architecture looks the way it does. Like when we look at ancient cities, ancient Rome, we even newer than that, not quite that old, but we look at old cities and old buildings. They're beautiful. They're intricate. There's fine detail. There's in-depth painting. There's incredible structure and every piece of it is so thought out and so thorough, and it's meant to convey beauty. And we look at modern architecture, just compare homes. You don't even have to get that big where, we're looking at like big city buildings and city structures. Just look at a home built in the 60s versus a home today. Look at the interior, white walls, black cupboards, or the opposite. Let's get creative. Maybe we'll throw some gray in there. Like everything is minimalistic. Everything is meant to fit. And it's the same. It's going back to that TikTok brain thing. It's meant to be the same. Want to go back and talk about Keeping Up with the Joneses, where there's this idea of every single house, boom, 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 looking the same. And it might just be like a different shade of pink. It's the same. We all drive the same car. We all do this. That is what's happened in art. Look at modern art. Same thing. Modern art is a joke to half the people in the world because there's no real intrinsic beauty there. We've lost the ability to turn the thoughts, the creative ideas within our hearts and our minds into something physical. And we've given up on it. And instead we sit on our phones and we consume and we figure out what we can take. And that is like happening at a global scale. And I think, again, this going back to these old school conspiracy theorists, the like original tinfoil hatters, people thought this is a really weird concept. Why would you even care about the architecture? But now we can see how that impacts all of this. It's the same thing. That's what's happening is there is no purpose. There is no motive. There's no creativity, no individuality. We are all just slinking into human slop. And it's terrifying.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. I always think of it, I think of us as like, just degrading into like gray beings. So what you just said, like, I mean, every single aspect of life is just, it's been deprived of any meaning.
Yeah. So we're kind of running on time here. So the last phase of this, 3 stages of this global downfall is where we hit mass panic. We all become aware of it. We all know it. We all see it. Now we're panicking. Now we're full on. There's no off ramp. There's no reversal. And even that, I think we might argue that might already be true to some degree. But I don't quite feel quite that negative. I do think there's a chance. But the problem with the mass panic stage is that this is where the depopulation agendas matter. This is where all these things that we see and fear that someone at the highest levels is literally trying to kill all of us. This is where it comes to a head. Because now when you have mass panic and you have mass rioting, all the more reason to exterminate us. And I think a lot of these systems breaking down, when we look at each one, we can see how there will be deaths and famine and all these things because of it. As each system breaks, it will cause people to die. People will lose their jobs, their money, their life because of it. Look at the sickness that comes from all of these things. The disease is at an all-time high, not just in this country, but around the world. People are sicker than they've ever been. Oh, we have the most incredible tech. I mean, we're skyrocketing with how intelligent we are as beings, yet we're all sicker than we've ever been. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
That tells me that it's not an accident that we're sick. If this is the most intelligent we've ever been as a species, but we're this sick, then that sickness is being controlled. So all of these systems will cause disease, famine, death, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that the ideas of Agenda 2030 were then, hey, you know, we make this super nice and clean and we wrap it up tidy. That will come to a head also when we think about this, going back to the universal high income. Sure, there can be a universal high income if there's a couple million of us on this planet. Certainly not billions. Well, that's the only way that we get there. We get rid of a whole bunch of us real quick. And people don't like to talk about that because that sounds super, super conspiracy off the rails. But it's where it's headed. And I don't think we can disassociate that level of where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like I think people that want to like argue that you're kind of like crazy for having this thought, it's like, look at how many times Russia's teased using small arm nuclear weapons in Ukraine and how many times we have now teased using nuclear weapons in Iran. And it's like, nobody in the world, nobody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your beliefs are, but nobody can genuinely make the argument that like anybody. And first, let me preface this by saying nobody wanted anybody to use nuclear weapons. As soon as that was on the table, everybody was on social media and they were like, this is crazy. Are you seeing this? Whatever, blah, blah. But like, you can't deny that seeing that in action, like seeing world leaders tease this, how do you possibly look at that and be like, they are not calling for mass bloodshed? Not just where this is being dropped, because it's immediately so much more than that. This is an international affair. The second that somebody does this, maybe not everybody's getting pulled in. 60% of the countries are, man. I mean, just by proximity. It's, and you can look at that alone, isolated. Don't even look at, like, you don't have to look at disease, famine, nothing else, which is all part of it. I mean, cancer rates are unbelievably high. I know, we talk about like people in Elk County, and granted, maybe it's because of the industry, like more people die there of brain aneurysms than, I didn't know that those were rare. I had no idea brain aneurysms were rare. And like shit like this goes on all over the world, in every little small town, every single big city. It's like, yeah, disease is running rampant and continues. There's every single day you see something online where it's like new disease rapidly spreading in this part of the world. And yeah, I mean, now we're looking at potential like food shortages internationally. And again, tying it back into like an energy crisis and a fuel crisis is like, what's going to happen when we don't have the fuel, when we don't have the energy to produce, to farm, to grow, to butcher? Like this is all very real.
Yeah.
And like COVID was a really good example of like everything's kind of like balancing on a couple legs. I don't really remember them all. I probably should, but it's like, there's like energy, logistics, so on and so forth. Ultimately, what I'm getting at is like, you need one of those to collapse, one of them, and it all collapses. And like with collapse brings serious death.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't like that. That seems like it's kind of like taboo to talk about. I feel like people like think that that's like a foreign concept that we could have like serious death internationally. And it's like, there's so many things that go on all the time where it's like, we're just always like on the brink of it.
Literally. Yes, we are. We quite literally are. And you're right that it's like, people are so far removed from the idea of either that happening at all or it happening in America. It can't happen here. No, we are just as susceptible as any third world country. You name it. In fact, probably worse because we have so many more legs holding that table up. Kick one out, dude. It's over. Literally.
Yeah.
It'll happen fast. And that's kind of the bulk of the episode, is going through those things and recognizing where we're at in these three stages. And it feels like we're either hovering in 2 or, on the brink of 3. I mean, it's hard to say. I think people with different experiences and different expertises might look at this in different lights to say where we're actually at there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where we're at. We're on the track. We are on the train and it's rolling. I mean, that's undeniable. And the last kind of thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was that this is why we can't forget everything that was going on with the Epstein Files. Like I said, I don't know what's distracting from what, but that has just been pushed down. I feel like I don't even see people talking about it. It wasn't even that long ago that this just came to light. The people that are at the top of that food chain are at the top of all these other food chains. They're at the top of all these systems that are breaking down. We can't let go of the Epstein thing because they're actual Satanists. They're eating people. They're killing people. They're doing it in this individualized scale. And we go, there's a lot going on. I can't really pay attention to that right now. What makes you think they're not doing it on a global scale? What makes you think they're not doing that in mass? We can't forget who did that shit because they're still doing it. Nobody went to jail. They're just still doing the things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that someday I hope is studied. I hope that we see nothing but positive come out of like people recalling and remembering everything that's actively going on and the news that still continues to come out, even though it is no longer making headlines. I hope someday we can look back and we can be like, it's really crazy that most of the people were just like turned a blind eye the second anything else happened. But luckily we came through on the other side and held all these people accountable. But what do we have to do to make this happen? Because like, yeah, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, just like how recently I looked into some stuff and how recently you did. And it's like, it's really easy to be like, there's a lot going on in the world. We should pay attention to this. And it's like, this is a really big deal. And this should absolutely stay on topic. No matter, there's always going to be news. We've always been, for as long as I've been an adult, I've been on the 24-hour news cycle where it's like, what's big today is no big deal tomorrow. There are things that we need to accept that are worth carrying into tomorrow. This is one of those things.
Yeah. 100%. So that again could go on and on and on. I mean, all these topics I could go on and on, really. Like it's so important, but just going off the Epstein thing here, I wanted to share, there's a couple websites where people are trying to make this more organized because Lord knows the government is not going to make it easy for us to access. There is the web with 2 B's, the webb.io. And there's also epsteinexposed.com. I think epsteinexposed.com has a free version. The web.io does not, but there are better ways to get organized and to understand the scale of what's gone on and what is continuing to go on. And this is an important tool to become aware so that you actually feel the rage that it's going to take to do the thing that our ancestors did in 1775 and have the reason for Patriots Day, have the American Revolution. I mean, they were angry about a lot less than this, like a lot, actually, so much less. And if we just could find that level of anger within us, we might be able to do something here. And it's going to take awareness to be angry. If you don't know what's going on, you're not going to get mad about it. So open up a book, the internet, anything, get off social media, get outside, pay attention a little bit to what's going on, and recognize how it's actually impacting you in your own home. That's the biggest thing. It is impacting you. Stop pretending that it's not. Like, that's just crazy to think that it hasn't hit your doorstep. It has.
Absolutely.
Brant, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, you actually took the one thing right from exactly what I was going to say is like, put down your phone, go outside, go for a walk, disconnect, but also plug back in, but plug into the stuff that matters. Like, it is really, really easy to turn a blind eye to everything going on in the world. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff you should turn a blind eye to because it's just nonsense that's just being fed down the pipeline to you. But there are things that are worth pursuing, exactly like what we're saying. And I think that it's important to, use these resources that you used, talk to people, look up articles that websites that you wouldn't normally, maybe they oppose your view, expand your horizon and genuinely practice critical thinking. That's it.
That's it. That's all. It's that easy.
That's it. That's all. Cheers, Patriots.
All right. Heck yeah. Cool. So
cheers in the beginning.
Oh my God, we didn't cheers. Oh my God, Dad is going to be pissed.
I was hesitantly drinking, waiting for it. I was like,
Dang it! All right, well, do you want to do a quick cheers? You got anything?
I was hoping yes. I guess I should have brought up the cheers then.
Yeah, well, cheers to the people who are practicing what they preach. Cheers to the people who understand that being involved, being educated is the biggest step. Once you've done that, you've done so much more than most, and it may feel like you've done nothing at all, but you've done everything, and that's what it takes. So, like you said, can't say it better myself. Cheers, Patriots. Sorry we forgot that one, Dad. All right, so we won't forget the Bible verse, the last thing that our dad Blaze always closes out with. This is from Proverbs 6:16 through 6:19. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. And that, my friends, is the United States government. So, with that, thank you, Brant. It has been so awesome having you on. I hope that we have you back again soon. Hopefully, we don't have to wait 1.5 or 2 years before we do this again. I know we kind of threw you in as a pinch hitter, and I expect to use you again soon. So,
Well, yeah, I had fun. I appreciate it. I hope I did okay. It was a good time. Nice talking with you, and yeah, keep on fighting a good fight.
All right. Hell yeah, that's what we like to see. So you guys know the drill. We will be back next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. Until then, stay vigilant. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate the support and truly love getting to share this message with anyone who wants or needs it. The best way for you to support the show is to subscribe, add a rating, and share with everyone you know. You can find us on Instagram, X, and at thefourthbox.com. We'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Stay vigilant.